Hello, hello. We're back. We're in this shack, hiding from William. It's certainly a thing. So yeah, we'll just get right back into it. But I realize right quick that this is not Lee once my eyes finally get used to the dark. Lee left anyway, at least I think he did. One of the dozens of customers that just stopped showing up. In front of me now, though, is a long-eared thing, I think a hare. He's not Lee, but he's dressed oriental like Lee would. Then he starts to talk to me in that language that's way too fast for me to even get a hold on. Then he points at the door. Go! That I do understand. I shift around in place, just wanting to stay a minute or two more until William isn't around anymore. Can I stand here just for a minute? I won't bother you. The sun's getting to me. To my right, a curtain that I thought was a wall whips back, and what looks like a weasel with black fur sticks his head out. He says something in that same language to the hare, then he turns to me. What are you doing here? Just passing through. I'll leave in a second. I move a little to my right so I can't see through the entrance. The weasel talks back and forth with the hare again, then turns back to me. Did someone tell you about this place? I look at him. At the same time, he brings something up to his mouth. I focus on it because it's weird looking, and I think it's a pipe, just a really long one. I also think that it's not tobacco. It's not tobacco in there. The weasel takes a deep puff on it. The hare turns to him and makes that backhanded motion that he's done earlier with me. The weasel shouts back before the pipe disappears. I'm slowly understanding where I am and why the man is so mad at me. I turn to him, my paws up. I won't tell anyone. I mind my own business. I can promise you that. I'm just catching some shade while I can. I'm not going to tell them the sheriff was following me. There's another back and forth between the two of them, and finally the hare just throws his paws up and walks over to a chair in the corner he'd probably been sitting in before I busted in. I stand there real uncomfortable, enough that I'm ready to go back out, even though it's only been a minute. The weasel keeps staring at me, taking a drag from the pipe every now and then. There's a weird look in his eyes, like he's staring at something miles away over my head. Your fur is very white for a mountain lion. I bristle. Yeah? Well, your fur is real dark for a weasel. Sable. Yeah, so my streams are gone, right? For good reason, they were bad. Uh, I'm better now at talking on, doing in these recordings than I was 2.5 months ago. So, yeah. But in that stream, I had to Google what a sable was because I don't know. When he showed up, I was like, he's an animal. I don't know what though, and I didn't know what a sable was, and it was like. It is a weasel-like. I think on the Google description, it did say like a weasel-like mammal, whatever. That's like native to like China, Russia, and that area. And they look real cute. Like, oh my god, Google a sable. They have like big like usually when you have like animals like weasels, they have like little small paws comparatively to their bodies. But like they almost look like red pandas but colored like weasels, like dark weasels, and it's like, oh my god, they're so cute. Look at those paws, they're so big for their little body, because it's like it's like little, like they're like thicker legs too, and it's just like, oh, stand on 2 legs. I'm sure you can do a handstand, do things. You're cute. I just wanted to mention that to, I guess, because I'm a fool. Oh, what? I'm a sable. Never heard of that. Most here haven't. I sigh, deciding I can probably go now. Would you like to try? It sends the sadness and pain away for a while. He holds up the shiny pipe, almost glittering from the light that comes in through the doorway. I watch him inhale again, then blow out a light smoke in my direction, and I think I catch a whiff of something just over the incense. Then I get a good look at his hand, and I see most of his fingers missing. Yeah, they just gone. Like, bitch, you got an index finger and a thumb. And it's on your right hand. Like, could I still draw? Maybe. You know? If those were gone, I could probably still draw. So I wouldn't be like, I was going to say out of a job, but I don't have a job. And especially not in art. That's not happening. My art certificate and like Photoshop certification, fuck it. Those are meaningless pieces of paper. You can tell by my thumbnails on this channel. Graphic design is not my strong suit. Much like art in general isn't. But it's a fun character design though. Like I really like this guy. I like all this, like the side characters in Nick's route. I really like because you have oh god, I forgot this guy's name. Was it Chang? Yao was the tiger. Yeah, it's what okay. It's fine. Don't worry. We're just gonna keep going. His pointer and thumb stick out in ways that they shouldn't, while the pipe balances between them. I start to move towards the door. You can get alcohol or morphine at the drugstore for that. I feel like I'm giving him advice, even though I know he doesn't need it. Maybe it's because I'm friends with the sheriff and I want people to follow the law, even though I don't. This is better. For less money. That's important for men like me, who can no longer work. Yeah, that sucks, though. Like, sorry. I look at his hand and, again, and he smiles. He smiles? What? Where? Does this man even have a smiling portrait? I'm curious about that, actually. But whatever. Caught in the machinery at the mine. Now I use my feet to pick up trash for pennies. The Sable looks over at the hare, who is hunched over, looking like he's sewing something, and occasionally interpret for the man who can't speak the local language. I think whatever the guy is on, I know what it is. I can't remember the name. It makes him more talkative too. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for letting me stay. I'm feeling better now. I got up. Then, because I've seen the Orient man do it, I bow. Is that a thing? I don't know. Like, I guess it would be. I'm a person who bows instinctively, like not a like super like just kind of like a small tilt, you know, like hello or nice to meet you, like a small bow. Cause that's just what I'm used to, you know. Sure, I'm like a Filipino, which you know is like the Mexicans of the Asian world, but you know, I go, you know, throughout my life, would always go to like almost all the parties I went to were always Asian gatherings, and like you just like the small bow, right? And I was at this like wedding recently, right? And it was a no family members, anything. It was just like a friend invited me to their wedding, and you know that was real nice of them. Love that they did that, you know. Kind of nice to feel included in that friend group, I guess. But like when I got there, I like met some other people, and I bowed, and a friend was just like looked at me and were like, "God, you're such a fucking weeb," and I'm like. And this happens a lot. Like when I noticed like when I started like really going out in the world, like going post like in college and shit, and I would do that small bow, right? And people would always just be like, "Oh God, you're such a weeb," and I'm like, "How is this? This is just, I don't understand." Like, I realize that I don't look as I don't look Asian enough for white people, I guess, for them to like immediately know. that I'm of that descent. So like I get it somewhat, but it's also like really like you're that ignorant, or maybe I'm the ignorant. I don't know, but it is kind of like really like an Asian can't do slightly Asian things without like someone getting on their case. I don't. Maybe it's just me. Like I don't. When I say maybe just me, I mean like it doesn't happen a lot, but it happens often enough to me that I'm like, why? Like, why is this a thing? But whatever, right? It just is what it is. I do live in Burgerland, so uh, the sable nods and the hare snorts, but I'm already slipping out the door, glad to breathe in air that isn't so heavy. I look around. No William. I sigh with relief, feeling a kick of relief as even happiness in my chest. I would have been trouble to get caught in there, not only for myself but the men in there too. I look at my paws, happy that they work, deciding to ask Nick about the man. Maybe that the badger needed to be more careful himself. I'm walking between the buildings towards the road to the mines when I realize that I'm not feeling normal. I'm happy, and there's this feeling like I'm floating a little. Most of the worry I'd had is gone. I'm actually looking forward to seeing Nick. Oh, that's how you know those feelings aren't real. No, Samuel cares. Samuel cares in this route anyway. Well, he kind of cares in all the routes, cause like in the other, we'll get there, right? We'll get there. But like in the other routes, one moment. Uh, in the other routes, like because Samuel ditches Nick, cause Nick had an appointment, right? And you kind of just like ditch him to go like I don't know, suck on Murdoch's cock or something, right? Or or have Clifford suck on yours. Uh, but because of that, like there's like in the other routes, you feel so distant from Nick because like Nick has to go to work and he's having hard times at work and he feels like oh Sam's avoiding me and like so he kind of feels betrayed and you're like oh I got other things on my mind. Uh, and it's like oh that's kind of sad that like in the other routes like how distant Nick feels. Though I guess that's the way that like William feels in this route because like you don't really like oh my god I'm tripping over myself aren't I. William almost feels like an antagonist in this route and it's like what but William a good boy like ah but it's cool though it's cool. I like how much the dynamics between characters changes based on what route you choose because I kind of feel like no matter what you do in Echo, like Chase kind of has like a similar relationship with like everyone. Like Flynn is still your distant, your asshole friend who's a little distant always, and Leo is your like your true love, and and like no matter what, like TJ always feels distant. Like, no matter what route, even when in TJ's route, when like Chase is like, I want to tap that fucking ass, he's which I'll never understand. Like Chase, get some taste, buddy. Uh, but it doesn't feel as dynamic, I guess. Like Chase's relationship with his friends don't feel as dynamic as Samuel does with like this crew. I hesitate to call them friends. You're either like they're either your fuck buddy or they're acquaintances. Like there was that scene with Cliff just a little while ago. What am I saying? Like in the last part. I didn't record these back to back. Shut up. uh, so it's like Samuel kind of feels a bit distant from Cliff, and that doesn't feel that way like in Cliff's route. We'll get there. I smirk, shaking my head, wondering how the hell I'm feeling this different when I didn't even touch the pipe. Maybe after this, I can go back and ask a bit more about it. I walk boldly through the sagebrush, full of ticks, only slowing my pace a little when I remember that I gotta look out for and listen for rattlers. Wait, there are normal snakes in this world? Isn't the one girl a snake? When I say the one girl, you know who I mean. I don't remember her name, but she's like kind of like her. Like her personality, she's so stuck up and she's so just like, I do what I want and no one's going to stop me. And I'm like, damn, that's the energy I want. I just want to like burst through a door and be like, I rule this world. Man, I'm feeling chatty, aren't I? I'm just like Samuel right now. Before I know it, I'm next to the hillside where the mine is, and I stand there, pause at my hips as I stare up at the rocky slope with a grin. I scan the terrain until I see that outcropping of boulders. It's easy to recognize their shapes having been buried into my mind. Still, I don't lose my smile as I start climbing up the hill on all fours. Man, now are these hiccups or burps? I don't even know. Bitch, I don't even know. I'm out of sight of the town here, but I do wonder if the miners saw me coming. I didn't even look at the main entrance. I know I need to be more careful, but I'm not exactly in my right mind right now. Coming anywhere near these parts of the town is enough to make me look suspicious, even before the murder. So I speed up my pace a little, practically prowling my way up the hillside until I'm next to the boulder. I look around for a place to sit, then I just crouch there, appreciating everything for the time being. I even let myself think about how good my future looks. I've wanted to get out of here since I got here, and now I sort of have to leave. Maybe if things go right, I can ask Nick to go with me. I always hear they got more gold out there, even if the heyday is over. Nick might like that. As time passes in the queeriest of ways, I start to wonder if maybe I've missed noon, and then I actually laugh as it goes off. I wasn't too late, not at all. I lean my head against the boulder, just waiting for Nick to come along. I really wanted to see him. I want to talk to him. I want to fuck him. Really talk to him and not let his need to look aloof bring the conversation up short. Maybe when we're walking through the mine, I glance up at the boulder and stare for a second as I see what I think are paws of a bunch of different creatures reaching out of the opening like a banquet of flowers. That's a weird description. I stare, then blink, but it doesn't go away. So I do the next thing I can and just close my eyes again, enjoying the haze. Yeah, that's creepy. But I breathed in Oriental medicine for several minutes. So who knows what the hell it takes, what the hell it can make you see. And reaching out of a fucking mine, I guess. I chuckle quietly to myself, wishing I could see the world this way all the time. I hear footsteps, and I perk up with excitement. But then I hear talking, and I keep crouching in case it's not Nick. And sure enough, I hear his voice rumble, and that's finally when I stand up, only realizing the ghostly, reached paws are gone when I'm staring through where they used to be. Hey, Nick. What, Sam? What are you doing? Well, after you went and left, I realized I didn't tell you a lot of all the things about the mine and what happened down there. You mean about the crime? I didn't say anything because I could see that could see that someone's rustling around behind Nick. I frown and stare, and Nick jumps aside, gesturing gesturing at whoever he brought along. I wanted some I wanted some assistance, so I brought Yao with me. He's very good with memorizing the mines, far better than I. I frowned deeper, the words I'd been wanting to say to Nick getting caught in my throat. How am I going to tell Nick about what I saw with this guy around? Hello. The big cat takes my hand and gives it a firm, aggressive shake. Oh yeah, this is Yao's theme, right? His little character theme. Are these composed? Like, I know that, like, more than half the soundtrack of this game is, like, royalty-free music. Which, you know, is fair. But some of, like, the tracks in the, like, in the game files say, like, Yao's theme, Todd's theme. And I'm like, are these composed for the game, or are these also royalty-free tracks that you've just, like, changed the name of within the game files? And I just don't know. Oh, I just don't know at all. As a friend of Nikolai's, I trust you share in his will and purpose. I raise my eyebrow. I barely make out the trace of an Eastern accent when Yao speaks. He speaks almost as clearly as Nikolai does, but with some musical qualities. Hell, might even be better at putting words together than I can. But I'm still mulling over his introduction. Will and purpose? He's not a miner, Yao. Oh. I apologize. I see that I have made presumptions. It doesn't matter. But, with that topic breached, I suspect it is not mandatory for you to share in our trade to understand our obstacles in time. Obstacles he does not need to worry himself with. Obstacles he might find common in his own trade. Not likely. But I can't tell him that. I will remind you that such obstacles will be universal to every chapter of labor in this country. Perhaps true. But he is only someone I want to help, not recruit. Very well. Let's move and be quick about this. We can talk as we walk. The tiger motions for us to move away from the small cabin, settle next to the exterior quarry, more in the direction of a pathway up a hillside. My thoughts linger on Nick's telling this man that he wanted to help me, which seems more forward than normal for him. I smile a bit on the inside, but I try not to show it. He's talked about help me before. The tiger, who seems lost in a thought, snaps his attention back to me. Never. Never? That makes more sense, considering Nick's privacy. But I can't help feeling a little sour now. Oh my god, Nick doesn't talk about me. He doesn't gossip with the other boys at the mines about how good of a fuck I am. Yeah. Samuel's so self-centered. Oh my god. Dropping the bottle cap. You know how it is. There are many bands of men in our company who do not get to meet. Miners assigned to different foremen do not tend to see or speak to one another. 3 foremen are assigned to separate sites within the mine. I have only seen 2 of these higher-ups and have spoken to one. The new young men who arrive from the train tend to have bodies much like you do. At least in the beginning. I don't much care for how he says that. You look like you take care of yourself. His physique might even be better than mine. I have worked in engineering positions in many towns and in many places. Most importantly, I have been very fortunate. I do not live in Nick's bunkhouse. Oh, I don't live in Nick's bunkhouse. I meant that I am still whole. And you are also very knowledgeable. The tiger grunts. But you know that they do not like that. No, they don't. Guess that means your bosses would love me. A wit can be dangerous too, my friend. As we hit the top of the hill, the entrance of the mine shaft appears on the horizon. Rows and carts on tracks wheel out of it, and several shapes trot out of the entrance. The tiger beckons us forward. An old-looking polecat sees us and get polecat. Is this Clint? I kind of like Clint. Like, he's a piece of shit, right? But he's also a piece of shit that I don't want to actually see, like, be given a lot of shit. Like, he's a shitty person, but I'm like, being a shitty person isn't a crime, like, on its own. And he just seemed like a guy who was, like, kind of all talk, and I think that's fine. Like, he's not Brian. Or even, oh no, I forgot his name. The guy who worked with Brian, not Keith, not the Coyote Chan, but I want to say David, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong because that's the dad in Password / the main character. Dave, yeah, and Dave is also the name of the dragon from Limits, isn't it? A lot of Daves going around. A lot of Davids. Huh. Maybe I'll write a virtual novel. And I'll have a character named Dave just to follow the trend. Let's not do that. Gives us an apprehensive look and starts speaking in a language I don't understand. Yao speaks back in that language, crossing his arms. The polecat shrugs, shakes his head, and pulling the cart, full of chalky-looking rock, forward. Come on. I stare at the mouth of the mine shaft. It's much safer looking than the hole Jack had us use, but that doesn't make me feel better. It's still that horrible place with its horrible smell. Sam? You can stay out here if you'd like. We can find what you're looking for. It's much safer for us than to look than you. I'm here. I'm going. Nick gives me a concerned look, but Yao's expression is quizzical. We are not deep enough for anything dangerous. A visitor with a safe will be safe under our guidance. That isn't true. I'm not letting Nick out of my sight down there. I won't let him be alone looking for that money I dropped. The rush of air from the entrance of the mine shaft brushes through my fur. It always feels to me like caves are breathing at the entrance. That would be the difference in air pressure. Yao leads us inside. Oh God, that's so good. Like this is my favorite one, right? This is my of the chapter 2 things. This one's my favorite because it's so eerie, right? Like it's creepy. I love it. It's like the Sunday portrait, chapter screen in Flynn's Route, but this one is even eerier, and I don't know why, but I always get the feeling that the city is on fire. When I first saw this image, I was like, oh my God, is Echo burning in the background? But it's no, it just has the lights are on. I think, right? I think you're supposed to be able to read it both ways. That's my guess. But oh, it's so creepy with those handprints. I mean, paw prints, because hands that they have paws. This is like in My Little Pony and Equestria, where they have hooves. They talk about their hooves. And every pony. It's not everybody. It's every pony. But we'll keep going. We'll keep going. Thinking if this is a good place to like stop for the part, and I think it is. So I don't know. Comment below. Do you want parts to be 30 minutes long, or are you okay with the hour-long chunks? I'd personally like to know. So please engage in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.